Welcome to the Horror Hour.
I see dead
We all go a little mad sometimes. We get you.
You are going to die
Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, the show where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. Today you have myself, Liam. Hello, and we are also joined by the one and only Yutaka.
Hello.
And Georgie Porgy Pudding and Pie.
Hi.
And our new member, dun dun dun, Steve.
Hello, hello.
Welcome. So today, since it is a new person and also I missed out on doing this, we are going to give a revamp of our top 3 horror movies. Knowing Yutaka, there'll obviously be an honorable mention because it's Yutaka and he has to outdo everyone else. And we are also going to be discussing the cheesiest of the cheesiest horror films.
Yes, bitch.
So, I know, you're welcome. So to start, we will go with our top 3s. And since Yutaka and George have already given theirs, we'll go do Yutaka first.
Or
To
top
just get
threes.
these out the way. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were doing cheesiest first, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just threw you a little
Curveball.
That's it. Curved.
Celebrate.
Sports.
So, all right. Well, if my third pick is Scream,
Oh.
it moved down. I know. I am so sorry. But we all do know love. I do. I love Scream with a passion. Wes Craven is everything. And I love all his films. And I think he's really crafted something special. And Scream just does hold something very special, near and dear to my heart. And I think Scream's a wonderful film that still holds up. And I guarantee you, to this day, there is still no better horror opening ever.
Agreed.
I will die on that hill.
Good.
That's my number 3.
Well done. Well done. George, your number 3, darling?
My number 3 is a found footage film that
Of course.
that did not start the craze but made the craze very popular, and that is the Blair Witch Project. Why are you shocked? That was my third last time.
Oh, I thought it was
I'm not
Hoss.
shocked.
No. There's just something about somebody standing with a camera going, I'm so sorry, that really just gets me going. And I loved that it kind of just didn't show anything, and it worked. There's nothing more terrifying to me than people being inside a tent and hearing the sounds of children playing outside in the pitch black at night. That it just is
Just the sound of children.
I
Terrifying.
mean, exactly, what could be more terrifying than children in the woods? So no, I just really love that film. I really love what it did, and I have a obviously just an honor for it to have literally to come from where it came from, to do what it did in the time, and really like just take the horror world and cinema in general by storm. So yeah, for me, it's just brilliant. And it goes to show that you don't need to show everything in order to make a good horror film. Take note, Blair Witch, or the Blair Witch 2000, whatever you were, 16, 15.
I mean, there's no better marketing campaign too. That was one of the biggest things about the Blair Witch. That was so like, we all thought this really fucking happened. No, seriously, like, if you think about it, they had documentaries and everything. Like, they led up to that, letting people think that these 3 were really missing, and like the actors were all sequestered. Like, it was.
And you know, they've kept it up because those actors have not done anything since. So
That's true.
A funny story about the Blair Witch, though.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
It's just a stupid funny story. I remember it coming out and believing in the hype, and I was young. I mean, what that came out, what, 99?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like 8.
No, it was 96, I thought. Oh, no, it was 99. Sorry.
No, yeah, Blair Witch was like 99. So I think it was 8. So Blair Witch, I think, was out at the same time as, I want to say, Muppets in Space. And I remember sneaking out of the theater just to peek at the Blair Witch. Just to see, like, it felt so taboo. I was like, I'm going to see these people disappear in real life. My mom was like, get the hell over here, see the Muppets.
Oh my god, yeah, it was just it's an iconic film, and I think it still remains that to this day. So that's my number 3.
Well done. Steve, your number 3?
I'm going to be basic and say Halloween. Really bringing the slasher to the forefront, really started the craze. Can't be Carpenter. It's funny because I'll make my husband watch Halloween, and he's just like, oh, this is so slow. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's amazing. And so I feel like for a modern audience, if you're not like maybe well versed in the history of slasher and you're just coming into it fresh, maybe it might feel a little like that. But like, I don't know. There's just something so simple but effective about it. The score is iconic. Jamie Lee Curtis, it gave us her. I don't think it could be beat.
I love George's face with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay, what's your number 3, Lee?
My number 3 is.
Sorry, actually, we should just say,
Place.
Steve, that I agree with. Sorry, we didn't. We talked about our top 3s, then we just went like.
He's just a dick about Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
he
really
is.
but I like the film, so I agree that. So it started the craze and it gave us this.
Yeah. So for my number 3, I'm going to go with A Quiet Place, because it is one of them newer horror films that has just cemented itself as an instant classic. It gave us some amazing scenes, made us realize how great John Krasinski was, and obviously Emily Blunt is fucking outstanding. So there we go. That is why it is my number 3. And we'll go to the next person who still hasn't seen A Quiet Place because he's a dick. Yutaka, what's your number 2?
I just haven't seen the second one now.
Oh my god, have you finally watched it?
Yeah, I just didn't talk about it because it was
It was oh my god. Okay, what's your number 2?
Get over yourself. Just tell us your number 2.
No, it was actually really good. John Krasinski as a director is phenomenal. Like he's got a huge bright future, and he's also really hot. But seriously, directing wise, wow. And also like the actors in that film like were really like I was gutted.
Yeah.
Okay, so my second film is the film you can see behind me. And I know George is like that over a Scream. And I'm going to say why, though. Let me
put words in my mouth. I enjoyed our talk with my Valentine.
I know. But this movie got me through like the heart of the pandemic. And I know that's still going on, but like this really did. And I've watched it so many times. So there are so many great themes that I could really understand and really somewhat relate to. And then on top of that, you just have this banger of a soundtrack that just hits on every level and is also one of the stars of the film. And again, writing, directing, acting, everything, vocals, like I truly do. I love my Valentine. And yeah, it moved up to my second spot because I just watched it just so recently too. A couple times, maybe 3. I'm sorry.
It's
fine. That's
fun.
Acceptable.
And the cast and crew behind it are all amazing people as well. So that always helps.
There we go. So George, tell us your number 2.
My number 2 is Hell House because I just love it so much. Like I rewatch the trilogy once a month, like without doubt. Like I really, really love it. And I just like as a trilogy.
Do you?
I do. And I just but the first one we're talking about specifically here, which is my favorite film, and that one is just so good for a found footage film. You know, I've seen nearly all probably found footage films at this point, and I found it difficult for me to find new films that I hadn't seen that were really good found footage films, because as we discussed when we reviewed it, you know, with found footage in general, because it's a cheaper film option to do, sometimes the cast and the crew are on the cheaper side and therefore not always the best. However, Hell House like literally throws, I mean, Blair Witch, again, that another classic of how that, but Hell House, again, talking about like a more recent one, that just the story is brilliant. Like you are fully invested in that story. The cast together are just like such a great cast, and you know, you really feel like they are like real people rather than just people going, oh wow, a noise outside, let's take the camera. Like it really feels like, you know, and there's a reason for the filming as well, because sometimes in found footage films they're like, this person's just got a camera and we're going to go with it. So at least, you know, when it has them behind it, it makes sense. And there was parts that scared me, that maybe like terrified. So, and we of course got to interview Stephen Cognetti, and we've had Lauren A. Kennedy, one of the cast members, on a couple of times, and she's brilliant as well. They're both great. So I just,
They are.
It's just, it was so much fun, and I'm so glad that we did it and reviewed it and we got to like be with them, because I was like, I was a mess when we reviewed
I may
it.
disagree with thoughts on the film, but they are wonderful individuals.
Yeah, really great.
They really
So,
were.
My second is Hell House, and I can see it being there for a long time. So
Oh
I'm
god.
Team with your top three.
Yeah.
yes, I know, yeah.
You've cracked the code, Steve. So Steve, what is your second entry?
I'm gonna say The Shining.
Ooh.
I feel like I remember seeing The Shining for the first time. I mean, I must have been like 9 or 10. I don't. But I love movies about family and like family dynamics, which you'll see with my number one film. But I don't know. I think you know, talking about the alcoholism, the abuse in the family, and then just that overwhelming negative energy of the hotel and how it affects. I mean, obviously, we have to give that to Stephen King, not necessarily the film itself, but I do think Kubrick really brought a lot out. You know, I know people will say, you know, they are very different, and so you will have like book enthusiasts say like the movie is shite. And then, but I love it. I think the score, there's always something new to discover when watching The Shining, just whether it's little details in the decor in the lobby or in the various hotel rooms. There's just always another layer. You know, I think Shelley Duvall, I mean, she was put through shit for that movie, but so there's a lot of issues there.
I'm Shelley Duvall.
I mean, I think she's incredible. Granted what she went through, but yeah, I don't know. So that's my number two.
Good pick.
All right.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall is iconic.
She is. But I feel like us two are thinking she's iconic for different reasons. So for my number two pick, it would usually be Scream, but I was like, oh, everyone's going to pick Scream, so I'm going to put something different in here. I'm going to put The Faculty.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very good pick.
I love The Faculty. That cast is great. As a stacked cast. Look, well, are any of them still about now?
Josh Hartnett's still, yeah. And
yeah. So love the film. Great. Scary, creepy. But it's the antithesis of like a 90s, early 2000s horror film, but done right. So, and that was like the era that I grew up with. So yeah, I love it. I love it a lot.
It's a great creature feature. I mean, Josh Hartnett was a stud. Cleo Duvall was in that, who went on to write the Happiest Season, or did she direct? Maybe she did both, but I love
directed.
Her. Okay, so yeah, no, like, yeah, John Stewart. I mean, he went on to be
like.
There's
when we get to the second part of the podcast, the cheesiest, we're probably going to see a comeback from one of the actors here.
So stay tuned.
So yeah, stay tuned. See who it is. So Yutaka, number ones, go.
That hasn't changed actually for me, and that is Alien, the first one. First horror film I ever saw. It still sticks with me. I think Ripley is iconic. I think Ridley Scott is iconic. The score, the way that movie was done. I can't stand people who are like, is it horror? Yes, it's fucking horror. I think some of the kills are great. The tension he builds, it's my favorite horror film. I love it so much. And it is a really great creature feature. And the alien design is stunning. So
Yeah.
mine is Alien.
Good pick. I like the Alien films. All of them, even the bad ones.
Same
So
here.
George, number 1, go.
Don't roll your eyes at me.
I was moving my eyes to your oh wait, it's that way, I think. Your background.
Yes, it's Scream. Oh, it's so predictable. Look at this fucking background. But yeah, it's Scream. I mean, I feel like there's no point in talking about it because I talk about it all the time, but I love it. I love the score. I love the directing. I love Sidney Prescott to the end of days. I love them Campbell. I love it all. And Wes Craven is iconic. And it's just the best. And it's a comfort film to just put on no matter how many times you watch it. And at this point, I probably could sit here right now for the next 2 hours and recite the whole thing line by line, including change of scenes, but we won't do that. So yeah, I don't know what it was. Again, it wasn't the first horror film I saw, anything like that, but it just stuck with me, and it's still there, and it's
a good pick.
It is. It's a great film.
Yeah.
It is, and it's just So for me, it's Scream, and it always will be. I really doubt it ever changed. So yeah.
Good times have been had. So Steve, number 1, what is it? Tell us.
So people cannot tell from my Twitter handle, my tattoo, or anything else about me. It's Poltergeist. So Poltergeist was probably, I think, the first like proper horror film I ever saw. So maybe there's a little bit of nostalgia there that pushes it up, but I think it still holds up to today. I think that, Tobe Hooper directed, but we all know Steven Spielberg had a heavy hand in that film. I just something about, like I said, with The Shining, I love movies about family. And Poltergeist takes it takes the horror that could be lying underneath the veneer of a perfect family. It digs into kind of that consumerism of the 80s, like everyone's trying to have like the white picket fence. Meanwhile, they're moving bodies and all this. It's just all that underneath, and like there's a lot of stuff about faith and loss of faith, and are you willing to let go of your faith to do whatever it takes to save your child? And I think as a kid watching that, it's like, yeah, I want my parents to go to the other side to get me, and it's just so much there. I think it's beautifully shot. The performances, I think, hold up. Iconic characters, Tangina, and you have I love Beatrice Straight in that movie. Dr. Lash, she's the parapsychologist, and I think she has some really great dialogue, and she's really kind of pulls out a lot of the themes for the movie in her scenes, and it's like my number 1 comfort movie. Like if I'm sick and I just need to pick me up, I'm gonna throw on Poltergeist.
Oh, I love it.
It's I remember there's one of the films, that and Alien were actually 2 films that I watched when I used to stay at like my best friend's house back when I was like 9 or 10, and we watched, like, his dad had all these horror films, and Poltergeist, remember that, and the second one, just watch them, and it's just so good. And I always loved I forget the character's name, sorry, who is the older woman who
Tangina?
Is it Tangina? That's it, yeah. And she just like stuck with me forever, because she just turns up and she's like, you have to do it proper. Like, I'm just like, oh, she's beautiful. So yeah.
Yutaka, you did very well in that film.
Who?
Yutaka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love you. So for my number 1, I went to something different. I went with Shaun of the Dead. Because I think Shaun of the Dead is a great blend of horror and comedy. And they are 2 things that I gravitate towards most. So I decided I'm going to put Shaun of the Dead as my number 1.
It's a good film.
It's a great film. It's fucking great. It's hilarious. It's gory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who doesn't want to go and hang out with the Winchester?
Dart in the neck.
I have a thing about, but
One of my
it doesn't
favorite
it doesn't include Shaun the Dead, just an FYI. But I have a thing about horror and comedy, which I know they tend to obviously blend well together a lot of the time, but most of the time I'm like, I just want to be in absolute despair and really just feel like shit.
Yeah, but you've got things for that. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
so,
No, I know. Yeah.
like, it depends on in the mood that you want. And
Sorry,
for me,
took a
That's
turn.
a lot about George.
Yeah, well, yeah. Anytime I want to watch something scary, I will tend to gravitate towards something that's going to have a little bit of humor in it, because I'm not like George. I don't want to just sit and cry wank all afternoon. I want to laugh while I watch a film.
Well, to be fair, I shouldn't say that, because Scream is quite a comical film as well. So
yeah, exactly.
But you're crying half the time you watch it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Well, horror comedy is amazing. I mean, because you get the two extremes, you know.
Exactly. That's why it's my number one, and I'm sticking with it, and I like it. And
It's a good film. Like that catapulted like Simon Pegg's career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who's the other?
And he was already
guy?
huge in the UK.
But I mean, like in the
Nick
US,
Frost.
like
Nick Frost.
he really became well known in the US.
But was it that or Hot Fuzz? Was Hot Fuzz first? Oh no, 2004,
Hot
2006.
Fuzz was next.
Yeah, no, that one
Was it?
wasn't as well received, even though it's a great film. I
That
love
film
Hot
is-
Fuzz.
So yeah, so it was like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and
At World's End.
at World's End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he started getting like Mission Impossible, all that. He was in Star.
Yeah.
What's he in Star? Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
He was in
yeah.
Star Trek. He was Scotty.
That's right. So I mean,
Yeah.
like he really like Shaun of the Dead boosted his Hollywood career, even though in the UK he was very well known and well established.
Yeah,
Nick
he was already
Frost
well
was in
established
Doctor
thanks
Who.
to Spaced.
Yes.
Yay! Well, they got Paul. They got Paul out. Of
Oh
it.
yeah, Paul was all right.
Oof.
So Nick Frost did get some Hollywood things.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick Frost is great. He was really good in, I don't know if you guys watch Why Women Kill.
No, I haven't seen
He
that.
was in season 2 of that. It's Mark
Oh,
Cherry.
he played such a dick.
Such a dick.
Oh, you've seen it.
I stopped.
Oh, I love season 2. Yeah. You
Awkward.
disagree here, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is part of the brand.
Yep. So we go on to honorable mentions.
You
gonna
can have
pull
an
it
honorable
in.
mention. Go on.
I'm not going to
Go on.
list off a huge thing. I'm just thinking about a movie this past year that I've watched. Okay, I'm going to say 2. Sorry, and then I'm done.
Cheers.
There are 2 films this past year that like really stuck with me. And George knows I went hard for one of them, and that would be VHS 94.
Mhm.
That was a great film, and all of those directors did a wonderful job, and they just put together a great package. And then because I love Gigi Salguero, Bingo Hell is just too much fun. George is like, fuck this. Look at him. He's like, I don't think so. That's all right, George. I know you didn't watch it. It's okay. You didn't even watch Dracula. So whatever.
Oh.
Yep. So, but those would be my 2 honorable mentions, just because this past year, I think those have been some really great horror films. And honestly, I dare you to try and find a horror film out there, though, that is going to make you feel all warm and cuddly inside afterwards. That's what Bingo Hell did. I mean, that was one of the like happiest endings, and not even cheesy about it. It was just the meaning and the themes. So it was really good. So
Good
those
times.
would be my 2 honorable mentions. Thank you for
Does
letting me.
anyone else want to pull a Yutaka and do an honorable mention?
Fuck it. You know, it was Ben who had started that shit. So don't even give it that.
Well, I got 2 for sure.
Go on then.
And they both come from A24. So Midsommar blew my
And
mind.
this is where the disagree comes in.
I'm coming at it from the mental health side. I think it does a great job with the grief. I think it is beautiful. I love just how that film looks. It is a dream. I think that, I mean, I just love the juxtaposition between the light and the horror, right? Like it's a horror film in all light, you know, like, which I think is just so cool. And I just think the performances are amazing in that film. And then my other honorable mention is X. X is, I still think about it. It's been months now since I've seen it, and I'm always hesitant to say that a new film is one of my favorites, because I'm like, am I just
That's
on the
fair.
high of seeing it? You know, do I need to watch it 10 more times before I can say like this is in my canon of favorites? But X, yeah, and I can't deny how much I love X.
Brittany
My
Snow was a
housemate watched it
revelation.
last night for the first time. I watched it with him. He was
It's
just
so
like, and the bit that made him like the most action. I was like, fair, that made me the most was the scene with the crocodile.
good.
Because you're just like, what?
Brittany Snow, I mean,
Oh,
my
she
God,
was-
she was fantastic.
I mean, I've known it since prom
She is
night,
the
but nobody
moment.
wants to talk about that.
Hey, I'll talk about anything Brittany Snow. So I'm gonna have one honorable mention.
Yay!
And I'm going with Jennifer's Body because I think it is a film that at the time was
Yes.
extremely hard done by. And now we are starting to get to a point where we're actually like, oh, you know what? That film was overlooked. That is a good film. And I appreciate that. So that's why I'm just putting it back out into the consciousness. And it's on Disney Plus in the UK. So it's on Star, but it's
I
part of
wonder if
Disney
that
Plus.
means it's on Hulu here then. Interesting.
Maybe.
Possibly. So next, we are going to discuss the cheesiest of the cheesy horror films. Anything that we think is overly cheesy, but we still like it. It's got to be you still like it though. That is the caveat here. So my list is Piranha 3D,
I love that film.
Seed of Tricky, Cooties, and Gremlins 2.
Oh, that's a good list. Okay.
I know
That's
the cheesiest of the cheese.
Oh, that's
I only just that's where the idea for this came from because I rewatched Piranha 3D the other day and I was like, that'd be fun to talk about.
okay. That's good.
Does anyone have any thoughts on them?
Well, I love Piranha 3D. That's amazing. Gremlins 2, come on, that's iconic. We had the female gremlin
Yes.
finally, and the talking one who wasn't he doing a newscast?
Yeah.
I love that.
I can't remember his lines, but it fucking makes me chuckle every time. So Yutaka, for your cheesiest of the cheese, what do you have?
Okay. Well, you actually kind of said one because it is so good too, though.
Oh, sorry. I will just before. Sorry. I'll just cut you off 1 second. The returning cast member was Elijah Wood, who was in The Faculty and Cooties. He was one of the teachers in Cooties. So there was my connection. Sorry.
Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you. Sorry. Oh, right. Yutaka, go.
I would say you already stole one, but that's okay because it is, and that's Gremlins 2. It's just so good, and it's
It
so
is.
cheesy, but my God, is it so good. I love it. It's one of my favorite films. I would also have to say Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I freaking love that film. It's so cheesy, so silly, so stupid, and it's the best. I mean, my God, when the one guy is like boxing Jason and he tires himself out only to get his head punched off. Oh, it's so good. I love it. And then another film, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's really funny, and it's called Student Bodies, and it's from 1981. And the killer is called the Breather, and he terrorizes students at a high school. And whenever the killer finds students having sex, that's when he kills them. And so his kills are so silly and dumb. Oh my effing God. It was the scary movie before Scary Movie, if that makes sense.
Right.
That's
Oh
what.
my God, I haven't. Well, okay, somebody out.
But that would be what Student Bodies was. It was just hysterical. I loved it. But yeah, those would be my three.
Good times. Georgie, Porgy, Pudding, and Pie. Please tell me your picks.
So I did have three, but then one of them just left my mind. So right now there's two. I literally had it and I was like, oh my God, what is it? I got too nervous. So I would say I only watched it recently, but it is cheesy, and that's Valentine.
Yeah,
It-
I can see
it's
that.
like it's good, but it's very, I say, it's very of its time. Like if you watch it now and not have, like you both said, obviously you'd watched it like in the past, so you probably, but for someone who's just like watching it like now for the first time, it's like that's logic. But it's great. It's a great film. I did enjoy it. I'm glad that I watched it. And then my first one, which I will die on a hill for this film, and it is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Oh,
Because I just love that film so much.
I'll die with you on that hill.
Thank you. It's just, it's so good, and it is so cheesy, but it's probably actually one of my favorite Halloween films. So yeah, that's like my, I can't remember the one I had before, but it's gone. So if it comes, I'm just going to shout it out randomly.
Okay.
But those two definitely are my cheesiest picks for sure.
I like
them.
Steve,
So
cheesy. Go.
I am
tell us.
removing Seed of Chucky. So damn you. No,
You can
so
still have it there.
I wrote like 5 down, so it's okay. I have a handful. So the remake of The Haunting from 1999 with Catherine Zeta-Jones,
Yeah.
Lily Taylor.
Yes.
I love that
Okay.
film too.
Cheesy AF, but I freaking love it. I love Lily Taylor. She's my top 3 in terms of actresses. I think she's phenomenal. As cheesy as it is, like with the little like cherubs shouting, but there's also some like really awesome stuff in it too, right? With like the freaking bed coming to life.
Yes.
And like the CGI is dated. It's very 99, right? It's like they haven't quite perfected it yet. So I think that adds to the cheese of it. But like it's really fun. I mean, you know, we got Catherine Zeta-Jones playing a hot bisexual woman, and you know, we've got what's his name?
Or not Luke.
Owen.
It's
Owen?
Owen
No, it's
Wilson.
Owen.
Owen Wilson and Liam Neeson. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got like Liam Neeson. Like it's just phenomenal. The set design is just, that mansion is freaking beautiful. The music is great. The story I think is awesome. So that's in my top one. I will die for that movie. Another cheesy one, Malignant.
Yeah.
Because I think they went for the cheese.
Yeah.
And I think you have to
can't
love.
believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah, I think it's like the perfect cheesy horror film. And he went there and he's like, I'm gonna give you what you like, you know, if that's your thing.
And we liked it. So
yeah, I think Malignant's phenomenal. And then I'm gonna end with Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Dream Master. I freaking love this movie.
Oh my god.
There is an
yes.
80s workout montage. There we have the
I have that song, by the way.
I love that song. I love that song. Actually, yeah, I have it on my iPhone. Then what I mean, they gave us the freaking the bug kill.
The
It
roach.
gave us
No.
Let's Suck Face, I think is a great scene. Yeah, it's cheesy, it's so 80s. And it's probably the one I watch the most because it gives me a good chuckle.
That is good.
Good
I just remembered the other one because it just sparked it was Freddy versus Jason.
yes, that is so calm.
It's just so stupid.
It is.
But it's like one that you can just put on and like have a laugh with. So that just reminded me with Freddy there.
I also forgot about this. With Seed of Chucky, Hannah from S Club 7.
God, yeah.
Fucking like when she gets set on fire, fucking great. Like that just reminded when you mentioned obviously Freddy vs. Jason with Kelly Rowland. I was like, oh yeah, there's a band person in Seed of Chucky as well.
And like, fun fact, well, maybe it's not fun, but Seed of Chucky was the first Chucky film I ever watched. So I had no idea what was going on.
Intro.
I was like, what is this? And then I realized my mum was like, you do know, she was like, guys, must have just been on. And obviously my mum's a horror fan. She was like, what are you watching? I was like, Seed of Chucky. I was like, I don't know what's going on. She was like, you do realize there's like 5 films before this? And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went back and watched them. But yeah, Seed of Chucky is such a great film. 4.
Yeah,
So
1, 2,
ridiculous.
3, and Bride.
Oh, sorry. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Well,
Seed 5.
I didn't mean literally, Jesus.
Oh my god, he wasn't
Christ.
talking figuratively or whatever. Oh.
But yeah.
Well, we had it. That is a good list of shit from
I
us,
think so.
I think
agree.
we hit the nail on the head with this cheesy. Um,
And the people should tell
Well, we
us
did-
what theirs is as well.
yes. So in the comments down below, write what you think is the cheesiest of the cheese down below. We did forget to mention one thing. I thought somebody else would mention it. Scary Movie, like the whole franchise as a whole. To be fair,
Yeah, it's not horror.
well, it is kind of. They do horror things in it.
It's a horror comedy,
So-
technically.
Yeah, it's a horror comedy. So thank you for watching. As we said, comment down below what you think is the cheesiest of the cheese. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell for when we upload other bits and bobs. We do have quite a bit coming, so you'll want to stick around. Also, be sure to catch us on Twitter and Instagram, which is at the Horror Hour TV. We have merch. They'll be sprinkled in the comments below. So thanks for watching and goodbye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.